There is no doubt that Gigi Hadid is a beautiful and talented model who has absolutely no trouble getting work. But while we know she has no shortage of fans, what do people inside the modeling industry think of her? You might be surprised to know the extent to which she struggles to be taken seriously and the shocking reasons people have for looking down their noses at her. We'll talk about just what makes Gigi Hadid's place in the modeling world so controversial and why being friends with Kendall Jenner may be hurting her career. There are a lot of benefits to growing up in a famous family. Just ask Gigi's good friend Kendall Jenner. Her sister sold an intimate video years ago, and now the family has more money and opportunities than they know what to do with. Gigi's family may not be Kardashian-level famous, but there's no doubt they have contributed to her success over the years. Her father, Mohammed Hadid, is a real estate developer, and her mother, Yolanda Hadid, was a model when she was younger. We don't think it's a coincidence that all three of their children, Gigi, Bella, and Anwar, are all heavily involved in the modeling industry. And of the three siblings, Gigi was the first one to start modeling, while Bella was focused on her equestrian career, and Anwar preferred to stay out of the spotlight. Yolanda Hadid claims she's always loved taking pictures of her daughter Gigi and started posing her for photos at a young age. When Gigi was only 2 years old, she signed on to model baby Guess clothing, but ended up taking a break after that. You know how competitive the world of toddler models can be. Clearly, she wanted to save the peak of her career for later. Later, when she was ready to pick up her career, she levied her connection with Guess and was named the face of a 2012 Guess campaign. Gigi's career was also helped in no small part because their mother Yolanda was a regular on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. For a while, Gigi wasn't known by her own merits, but rather as the daughter of her famous mother. It's been a considerable struggle to get past it, and it's something Gigi still struggles with to this day. There are many people, including her fellow models, who believe she is famous simply because her mother was famous first. When you're a model who has had to claw her way up from the top and regularly worry about being able to afford rent, it's easy to see how resentment can seep in. Everything seems to come so easy to Gigi, and many people look down on her because of it. But Gigi herself is the first to acknowledge that she has led a privileged life, but insists it's not what people think. She claims she recognizes her privilege, but her childhood wasn't as glamorous as people make it out to be. Gigi insists her father Mohammed earned his fortune after arriving in the United States as a refugee. She claims he had to fight for every penny and that both of her parents were always sending money to relatives back home. In her eyes, both of her parents are hard workers who taught their children how to be their best. When people minimize her parents' accomplishments and reduce them to their net worth or appearances on TV shows, it naturally upsets Gigi. Between Bella and Gigi, it was Gigi who first got her start as a model. It was something she had always wanted to do since she was a little girl, while Bella was more interested in other things. She had always imagined herself having an equestrian career and devoted every spare moment to taking care of her horses and training. But after Bella was struck down with Lyme disease, she found herself having to reevaluate her entire life. She went from being an Olympic hopeful to hanging up her saddle. It was a devastating time, but Bella decided to take up the less physically taxing hobby of modeling. Now, both she and Gigi are huge stars, and many people wonder if they compete with one another. But not only did their mother teach them how to model, she also encouraged them not to be competitive with one another or anyone else. Yolanda taught her daughters not to compete with anyone but themselves, and to always strive to be their personal best. It also helps that despite being siblings, Gigi and Bella have totally different looks. According to Gigi, the customers who want to hire her aren't looking for someone like Bella, and vice versa. She believes there's plenty of room for both of them in the modeling industry, and if anything, she and Bella have learned a lot from each other over the course of their careers. But although the two sisters might believe being in the modeling industry together betters both of them, not everyone feels the same way. There's no denying that social media has a huge impact on our lives in many ways. The modeling game has changed, and now your success is affected in no small part by how many followers you have and how many likes your Instagram posts get. People like Gigi, Bella, and their pal Kendall Jenner are considered to be a new type of model, and some more classic models aren't happy about it. Stephanie Seymour is considered one of the original supermodels back before the term was even in widespread use. She believes that supermodels like herself are a dying breed and that something is a bit off about the newest generation of models. Stephanie admits people like Gigi are beautiful and says she supports them, but she doesn't consider them supermodels. She thinks they should get their own title, and her suggestion was a along the line of ladies of the moment, but incorporating language we can't use on this family-friendly YouTube channel. It might be tempting to dismissing Stephanie's statement, but she's far from alone in her viewpoint. Rebecca Romajan echoed a similar sentiment, slamming not just models like Gigi, but the fashion magazines which publish them. She claims to hate that social media stars are now calling themselves fashion models, and believes it cheapens the entire industry. Fashion commentator Robert Verdi claims rich kids are in style, and that certainly does seem to be the case. But what has really changed so much in the modeling industry, and is Gigi really so different than more traditional supermodels? According to Robert Verdi, there was a time when models were chosen based solely on their unique beauty and skills. He misses the days when talent could be discovered in seemingly ordinary places, and claims girls like Gigi aren't real models. He admits they encapsulate the zeitgeist of the moment, but their airbrushed and photoshopped perfection doesn't truly impress. Robert said Gigi falls terribly short of true fashion models like Linda Evangelista or Naomi Campbell. However, Robert does believe in giving credit where credit is due. He points out that while Naomi Campbell may be an incredible model, she's been known to do things like throw cell phones at people. While he gives Gigi and her friends props for showing up to their gigs with a positive attitude, which is more than he can say about everyone in the industry. According to his sources, Gigi is pleasant to work with, always showing up on time and putting in a hard day's work. But that doesn't change the fact that in his eyes, and the eyes of his fellow fashion pros, Gigi just doesn't have the magic of a true supermodel. Not only are there tons of people who don't have any respect for social media models like Gigi, but there are also some people who dislike her personally. If you've ever seen an episode of America's Next Top Model, you know the importance of having the perfect runway walk. But unfortunately, many people think Gigi just can't get it right and are amazed people still let her on the catwalk. Some have even compared her stride to that of someone trying to pass a field sobriety test. It turns out Gigi is well aware of this frequent criticism and has some thoughts on the matter. She claims to be flat-footed and says she has a forced arch from playing volleyball. This makes it difficult for her to walk properly and took some trial and error to learn how to get it right. Gigi also claims that before her first runway show, she was so nervous she could barely breathe. Prior to her first runway show, she had zero training and had never taken a runway class. She believes people are too harsh on her because they didn't realize they were really watching her learn how to work the runway. However, we think it's fair to say without all of her social media connections and famous family, Gigi wouldn't have been allowed to walk on a runway without knowing how. Who else gets to practice the catwalk in an actual fashion show instead of actually taking classes or working on it in private? Gigi says she acknowledges her privilege and isn't afraid of hard work, which doesn't really seem to jive with her runway performances. It's no wonder that her fellow models who have to work so hard to get invited to these shows feel resentment. But social media can at times be a double-edged sword, and while it's no doubt contributed to Gigi's success in many ways, it can also make things more difficult. Following her modeling debut, fans couldn't help but notice Gigi had dropped quite a few points. She was criticized for her unhealthy weight loss, and many thought she was purposefully changing her body. Despite all of her wealth and fame, Gigi admits these comments did start to wear her down. But the crazy thing is, her body was still constantly criticized even when she was a bit bigger. Gigi has always been an active person, and for a long time, she had an athletic body that fashion designers didn't know what to do with. When Tommy Hilfiger was considering working with her, they weren't sure how to dress her body type, so she ended up walking down the runway in a poncho. Even for someone as beautiful as Gigi, that had to hurt. And then when she lost weight, fashion designers happy, but fans were all the more critical. Not that she should have to explain her figure, but Gigi eventually revealed that she suffers from Hashimoto's disease. This is an autoimmune condition which impacts her thyroid and metabolism. It can also cause her to retain water, making it seem as though her weight is constantly fluctuating and causing tons of media speculation. According to Gigi, her diet hasn't changed, but she has no control over the way her body handles the food she consumes due to her condition. This has been a struggle for her, and it doesn't help that people are constantly making cruel comments to her about how she looks. What's helped her shrug off the criticism is focusing on her health instead of her appearance. This may seem to be pretty opposed to her career as a model, but apparently she's making it work for her. She also advises her fans to appreciate their own bodies and avoid comparing themselves to other people. It's clear that despite some thinking Gigi has it way too easy, she does have to deal with her own set of challenges as a model. But her close friendship with her sister Bella helps her to overcome everything life throws at her. Some may look down on her because of her association with people like Kendall Jenner, but for Gigi, these friendships are what make life worth living. What do you think about the fact that Gigi Hadid is a big name in the modeling industry? Do you think she really is just a woman of the moment, or do you consider her a true supermodel? Let us know what you think about Gigi in the comment section below, and then click on the subscribe button to get access to the latest videos from TheTalko. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.